Hey everybody, Pringle here. Today I'll be showing you a quick look at how the cutscenes for Other Her Loving Embrace are handled. For those unaware, Other is a game that I'm developing in Game Maker Studio 2 that combines turn-based RPG battles with platforming combat. It also features an overworld you can explore with lots of secrets. There's a demo out that you can try that came out for the Kickstarter campaign in 2019. It's a little old and pretty rough around the edges, but it gets the gist across if you're interested in the concept. I've gotten some questions about cutscenes recently, so I thought it might be fun to try and make a video about it for a Kickstarter backer update. I'm definitely not an expert, so this might not be the most optimal way of handling things, but I'm happy with this solution since the cutscene files can be loaded externally and edited while the game is running. This minimizes time spent on trial and error, iteration, and generally making sure things look right. Anyways, let's get started. A cutscene is simply a list of instructions to perform at certain times. Each cutscene has an in-game timer that begins at 0. The timer increases by 1 every frame, or every 1/60th of a second, since the game runs at 60 frames per second. There's only one exception. If there is a dialog box open, do not increase the in-game timer. Otherwise, cutscenes would quickly become a mess when viewed, since players will naturally take different lengths of time to read dialogue, and the events would become desynced. Before we take a look at the instructions that make up a cutscene, first let me explain how characters are displayed during cutscenes. The game has a special actor object. This actor object is used to display all of the characters for cutscenes. It can receive commands to perform a variety of tasks such as moving a few spaces left, moving a few spaces right, facing downward, jumping, shaking, making a pose, all sorts of things. It can be assigned a set of sprites to change its appearance, depending on what character we need to portray. Now that we've established how actors work, let's go back and see what a cutscene actually looks like. Here's a short cutscene I made as a demonstration. Let's take a look at it, then look at its list of instructions. Okay, so here are the instructions that make up the cutscene. I'll put the cutscene off to the side so that we can watch what happens as we go through the code. Let's start with this line. This command is just what checks the in-game timer to see how far along we are in the cutscene. Since it is checking moment 0, it means that the actions in the braces below will happen as soon as the cutscene begins, since the timer begins at 0. In this case, the very first thing it does is turn the Gershom and Wizard player objects invisible for the duration of the cutscene. The player also cannot move during a cutscene. Next, it creates 2 actor objects, one for Gershom and one for the Wizard, then assigns those objects to a variable so that we can reference them later. The actors are created at the position of the regular Gershom and Wizard player objects in the room, and since we already made them invisible, the transition appears seamless to the player. Next, we send the actors over some XY coordinates, which will make them walk to those positions in the room. The variable cell here just represents the number 16, since every space in the game is 16 by 16 pixels. At the next command, about 3 seconds later, we tell Gershom to look up and the Wizard to look down, before creating a dialog box. Remember, the timer will not increase as long as the dialog box is open. Once we're done reading the dialogue, about a half second later, the Wizard moves left to prepare for his jump. A flag is also set to make him appear to walk in reverse. After that, the reverse flag is reset, and he's given the instruction to move 17 spaces to the right so that he travels off screen, and another flag is set to make him run while doing so. A few frames later, he leaps into the air, and Gershom faces to the right. And finally, after he jumps, Gershom displays an exclamation point above his head. A final moment is then triggered to clean things up and bring back the player-controlled objects, and we're done. Thanks so much for watching. If you have any other questions about how the game is made, please let me know and I'll consider doing a video on it. As always, a big thanks to all of the Kickstarter backers who helped make this game possible. You guys are wonderful, and I appreciate all of the support immensely. I hope you have a great day.